Hello and welcome back. Code with STM here, and in today's video we'll be building another full stack application where we are using Tailstack as our stack of development. So means we are using Tailwind CSS, Alpine.js, Laravel and Livewire. So in this video we'll be building this amazing application which is called the Real Estate app. So in this video you will learn more about the powerful features of Livewire. So we are going to see a lot of features that will help you to build full stack applications from scratch. So in this video, I'll be discussing more about Livewire, but on front end, which is this one, we've built it by using Tailstack, means Tailwind, CSS, Alpine.js, Laravel, and Livewire. But on backend, which is our admin panel, I've used the Filament PHP. So I'll be sharing with you a little about Filament PHP. So I'll show you just how to manage these properties that you see on this application here. Okay, and also on how the user inquiries will be stored in database and how the admin can be able to see them. Okay, so in this particular application, there is a lot of features that you will learn. So the first thing you will see on how you can create this complex filtering or searching module. So we will see on how you can create this amazing searching functionality. So here the user can be able to search, can be able to filter by using these other filters like listing type with this one. So you can see there is property type, listing type, there is cities, there is minimum price, there is maximum price, the number of bedrooms. Also you can filter by using only or to see only the featured properties, and also you can be able to clear the filters. But another thing you can see, this is the another feature that you will see. There is a way for you to adjust the way that you see these properties. So this listing, you can list it by using these tiles, like the way you see it by default. But you also can switch it to listing. So you can switch to listing like this way. You can see, so the listing is changing. And also we are going to see on how you can create these cards. So I'll show you one by one on how you can create these cards, how to add these buttons, how to add this badge that shows this is for sale or this is for rent, and also to show if this is the featured. So we are going to show all of that in this particular video. We are going to learn on how you can do all of this. Okay, but also the other thing, there is this way of sorting your properties. So we are going to see on how you can sort your properties differently. For example, by default they are sorted by the newest, means the latest, but also you can sort them by using the price. You can see by using the price, you see, so it starts from the highest to the lowest. You can see. Also we are going to see on how you can upload the property images. So we are going to see on how you can upload more than one property image and how to manage them. Also on this sort, you can sort by using name and also the cities. And after that, we are going to see on how you can paginate these properties on this beautiful pagination, which is coming from Laravel. So that we are going to see on how to do that. But also down here you can see we have this beautiful footer. So you can see from this here, you can see there is a name of our application. You will see that some of the descriptions. So I've just make it specific to Tanzania, which is my country right now. But basically this is adjustable, so you can just change it to whatever that you like. So here the user can be able to place the social media links. Here there is the quick links, which actually will put the filters. So for example, if I say for rent, so you can see here the listing type will change to renting, and here you can see the listing has been updated. So here it is triggering the filtering of our listing. So also the user can be able to show the contact us or the contact details. Okay, but down here you can add those other pages or links that you want. So all of these we are going to learn them inside our particular video. So all of these features that you see on this particular application, basically I've just tried to create all of this so that to show you how Laravel and Livewire are very powerful, and they can help you to build anything that you want. So here we can clear the filters, you see. So the filter now has been cleared, and you can see the properties have been listed as default. Okay, but also the other thing that we are going to learn today is how to use the admin panel by using Filament PHP. So if I visit the admin side, so here you can see the application admin panel has been opened, and we are being redirected to the login page. As you can see here, this is our sign in page. So here is where we can be able to sign in. So let's try to sign in with this account. So here on backend, as you can see, I've already showed you on a couple of my previous videos on how you can create this Filament version 4 application or admin panel. So this is just a basic way of my dashboard. So I'll not do anything complex here. So I'll just show you how you are going to list the inquiries and also the properties of your real estate application. So down here you will see we have listed it, and we have a way to add a new property, and this is our properties that we have listed on our application. And as you can see right now, we have a total of 23 properties, but on our front end where the customers actually interact with the application, we have only seen like 16 of them. So why? Because on here I'm going to show you how you are going to use these properties. So we are going to show them accordingly to this feature. So we are going to check if the properties is active. So that's when we are going to show to our customers or users. But other than that, we are going to hide it. So here you can see we also have a slug. So we are going to show, I'm going to show you how to generate these slugs automatically. And there is more, like you see the titles, type, price, address, cities, and everything that you have seen on the front end there. You see the parking spaces, and there is other things that you have not seen from the front end. So for example, if I go to the front end, so let me duplicate this one. If I go back to the front end here, yeah, so here, for example, if a user click this view details of any of these properties, for example, if they click this one, so they should be able to see the properties. Then you see this is just a breadcrumb, okay, and you see here there is this properties. Then this should be the city, and this should be the name of that particular property. So this is the name. So you see it is similar to this one, okay. And here we are showing if that is a sale, rent, or anything else. But also we are going to show if it is featured on top of this corner, okay. Also here we are going to show the address of that particular estate, which is property. Also we are going to show the price of that property. Here will be the image of the property. So this is actually the default image because we don't have any image uploaded for this particular property. And down here you can see there is property details like the bedrooms, the number of bedrooms, the number of bathrooms, the square feet of that particular property, the year that the property was built. And down here you can see the property information, like the type is house, status which is available, the furnished yes, and the parking is available or not, the amenities and the features like electricity, study room, garden, and fireplace. So all of that contained on the inside our property details. And down here you see there is this other descriptions like about this property. So you can see like this is a sample description. But down here on the location, I've just showed you how to add those here, but we don't have a way to integrate it on your real map. So you can just integrate the Google map. So in this particular video, I'll not show you this one. So because my intention was just to create this application and function well. But for this one, we will just do it as a homework for you guys. Okay. Other than that, we have this on our right side. We have this contact information, and this is the contact card, as you can see. So down here we have this property summary. As you can see, this is the ID of the property, the day, okay, like listed in 3 weeks ago. So this will show when that property was listed. Also, we have the type of that particular property, the city that it is found, and also the area of that particular, which will be the same as this one. Okay. Also, we have these quick actions, like we want to call the cell, I mean the one that is all the contact information of that particular property. So we have the way to call, send email, and to share that particular property. Also, we have a way to go back to the property listing, and here there is this contact information of that particular the guy that posted this particular property. Okay, so this is the phone number and this is an email. And also you can be able to send an email to that particular guy, because when you send this email, will be sent to this particular contact information. So I'm going to show you how to do that, because now if we try to send an email from here, so the email will be sent like this way. So for example, if I just put something like this, and then I try to send that email, so these emails will be sent by using queue. So we are going to see on how we can use the queues in order to make sure that the longer properties or the longer tasks will be just queued, and then they will be executed as time goes on. Okay, so here you can see there is a message that the message was sent successful, and it says that we are going to get back to you within 24 hours. So that will be the simplest thing that we can do. So now let me just run my queue so that we can see that email on action. So let me send that. So PHP at some queue work, and from here we can be able to see that email that will be sent. So let me just open here. Okay, so here you can see the email was sent successful, and you can see this is the email that you have received. And if I open it, you can see it is on 0 minutes, means it has been received now. And here you can see the name of our application, you can see the new property inquiry, and here you can see you have received a new inquiry for this property, which is the name with this one. And you can see from this particular person the phone number, and this is the message. So you can see that was the message that was sent, and this was the IP address that he sent that particular email. So this is what we are going to build from our application. So you can just create this email to look a little bit nice. So we are just going to update this one actually. So we'll be creating this to be more precise and more beautiful, so that we can have something that is really working well. So I'm just going to update that, but for now let me just focus on here. So you can see now we've sent that email successful, but also we can be able to see if this validation works. For example, if we click this without filling anything here, so we should be able to see the validation errors. So you can see the please enter your name, enter your email address. So you can see, so the validations are working just fine. But also the user can be able to perform other functionalities, like you see. So here on this breadcrumb, so if you click here on the properties, you will be directed back to the property listing. But if you click here on this, so this, as I've said, this will be the name of the city. So this is the city on here on Tanzania, which is called Mwanza. So if I click this one, we should be directed to the property listing, but here we will have this city, which is this one. So that will be the filter that will be applied. So here you see we have only 3 properties that in Mwanza right now. So you can see, so all of these you can see are in Mwanza. Okay, So we are just going to build all of this from scratch. And here you can see the city has been auto selected, which is Mwanza. So if I change that, let's say to Dar es Salaam, and you should be able to see the properties that are in Dar es Salaam. Okay, so now this is all of the thing that we are going to cover on this particular video. So without starting our application, I just want to welcome you guys. If you are new to the channel, consider to subscribe. So this is the channel. If you need to learn anything else other than this, there is a couple of videos here that are very good for you if you are new to Laravel or you are trying to leverage your skills. So this is the right channel that you are. So consider to like my videos, comment if you find anything, and I'll be getting back to you as soon as I can. And also share the videos, share the channel, and that's a way that you are supporting me. So without further ado, let's get started and build our application. So welcome to the second session of our particular video, and in this section is where we are going to start to build the application from scratch. So the first step will be to create a Laravel 12 application, which we are going to use Laravel HUD to build the application. But if you are not using Laravel HUD and you are using other development environment, you will just need to configure everything that you need and make sure that you are able to run your Laravel application. So here on Laravel HUD, if you're using Laravel HUD as me, so just go to the sites, and after visiting the sites, but before that, make sure that all of these services are on or they are running. So make sure that they are running and go to the sites, and here we are just going to click this add new. This is where we are going to create our application. So here we're just going to say the new Laravel project, which will create a fresh Laravel project, and then let's click next. And from here, I'll not select any of the starter kit, so I'll say next. And here I'll say real estate app, and then I'm going to click next, and this will start to create our project. So let's give it a time, and then when this will be done, we can continue to build our project. So you can see our application has been created successful. So the next step will be to open it in our browser. So I'll just click this one, and this is our Laravel 12 application that has been created. And now the next step will be to open it in our VS Code so that we can start to build the application from scratch. So let's click VS Code here, and that will open it in our VS Code here. So let me open it here. I'll zoom it a little bit so that you can be able to see the code. Yeah, so I guess now you can see. Yeah, so this one, I guess this one is enough. Okay, so now this is our application. So you can see we have the Laravel 12, and now it is time to install Filament PHP so that we can start to build the application. So let's go to the Filament PHP, and here we are using version 4. So let's get started, and now let's visit the installation section, and let's copy this commands. So copy, and then let's open it here. Let's open the terminal. Okay, after that, let's run them so that we can be able to install the filament panels. Okay, so this you can see it has been started to update the composer. So now let's see. Now the first command has been done, so now let's run the following command to install the panel. So now it will be an admin, so I'll say yes. that will be the panel's ID. Yep, so now I'll say no. Okay, so now we have Filament PHP in our application. So now if we visit here /admin, we should be able to visit the Filament PHP admin panel. Okay. Yeah, so here you can see we have this login page, and now the first thing will be to update my .env file. So let me go to .env file. So I'll change the name of my application, so I'll call it real estate app. Okay, and here on database I'm going to use MySQL. And if you don't have MySQL, you have another database like Postgres and anything else, you can just use it. So nothing will change. So here I'll call it real estate DB. Okay. On filament disk, I'll just change that to public because I don't want to use the private one. So this is for the file system. So those are the changes that I've done on my .env file. So now we need to make sure that this is updated. So if we refresh again, yeah, and here you can see we have this error saying this database is not existing. So what you need to do is just to migrate. So PHP @ migrate. So that will ask you if you want to create that database. So I'll say yes. And you can see the default database migrations has been run. So that is good. Now, if you visit the database here and refresh, you should be able to see that database opened or created here. So you see we have the real estate DB, which is this one. And now let's create the admin of our application. So let's say PHP @ make filament, then user. So the name I can say, let's say admin, then I can say admin @ example, let's say admin @ realestate.com. Then I'll give my password. Okay, so now I can be able to log in by using that account. So refresh, and here it is admin @ realestate.com. Okay, now let's try to log in. Yeah, so here you can see we are on the dashboard of Filament PHP. So this will be the admin side of our application. And now let's start to create our first model so that we can be able to build the database side first, and then we are going to see on how we can integrate it to the backend, which is our admin panel using Filament PHP. And then after being able to create the first property, then is where we are going to start to build the front-end page, which is the listing page. Okay, so now let's start by building the models. So on models, we are just going to have two models. So the first one will be for the properties. So PHP @ make model, and then the name of the model will be property, and I want to create the migration and also the factory. Okay, yeah, so that will create the model class, the factory class, and the table or migration file. Okay, actually the other model will be the inquiry or inquiry, so you can just call it the way you feel comfortable. So inquiry, like that way. Okay, and then you enter. Okay, so those are the two models that we needed to create. So now let's update the migration file first for the properties. Okay, so this is our properties model, migration file. So what we are going to add is the following information. So we are going to have the basic information, where we are going to have the title, the description. We are going to have the, let me just add let me call it type, where we are going to have something like apartment. Let me just add some of the things. So we have apartment, house, condo, land, and also we have townhouse, we have villa. I'm trying to put something that I believe will be a better option to use. The other field will be the status. So it should also be, so we have the available, sold, pending, let's say draft. You can have rented. Yeah, I guess those what we need to have. Okay, and then after that we need to have another field for, actually it should be starting from here, so that should be table, then enum listing type, which will be for sale and also for rent. Okay, so we have the listing type and we have the property type, which is apartment, house, condo, land, townhouse, villa, and also commercial. Okay, so those was for the basic informations. So for the other fields, I'll be pasting them to quickly build the application. So I'll just paste some of the things. So for the pricing, this will be for the pricing. We are going to have the decimal field, which will be the price, which will be the price of this particular property. And then we are going to have the price for the per square feet. So the price for the per square feet. So that will be for the, if you are selling the land, okay? So that will be helpful if you are selling the land, okay? So that will be used there, okay? So for the location, which will contain the address, the latitude and longitudes, we're just going to have the following fields. So the first one will store the address, which will be a string. We are going to have the city, the state, the country, and we're going to have the postal code, the latitude, and the longitude. So these are the decimals, but the other are strings, okay? So make sure that you have everything as I had here. Also, we are going to have the property details. So in these details, we are going to have the integer, which will store the number of bedrooms that are available for that particular property. We are going to have the number of bathrooms, the total area in square feet, means you are going to store it inside this field. Also, we are going to store the built year of that particular property. We are going to store the Boolean field, which will show if the property is furnished or not. So by default it will be false. The parking, if it's available or not. So we are going to store the Boolean way. There also we are going to store the number of parking spaces, okay? So the other fields will be for the images and to say to store if that particular property is featured. So this is for the features. So means we are going to store the features here. Means we are going to store the features like pool, garden, security, playing ground, or something like that. Also the images, because the one property can have more than one image, so we're just going to store it as a JSON. So we are going to store it here, so that's why this is called the images and not image. And also we are going to store the slug and other SEO or the searching engine functionality optimization. So this is for the search engine optimization. So we are going to store the slug of that particular property, the meta title, and the meta description. Okay, so that will be for that. But also for visibility, we are going to use these following fields to control the visibility of our property. So we are going to store the boolean field for the is featured, so that if the property is not featured, so that we can be able to control how it will be displayed. Also for the is active, means if it's not active, we cannot be show it on front-end view. Also the featured until when, so this will control the time that this particular property will be featured. Okay, also we are going to store the contact. Okay, so we're going to store the contact information of the user that has posted that particular property. So this will be the contact name, the phone number, and also the the email of that particular contact person. Okay, also for the optimization of our database, we are going to have the following indexes. So let me paste the indexes. So we are going to have those indexes as I've seen here. So this is how the properties migration file will look like. So now let's go to the next one, which will be the inquiry. So, or the inquiry. So name it as the way that you want. So let me just clear that. And let's go to the inquiry migration. So inquiry. Okay, so here on the inquiries, we are going to have the following fields. So let me just paste them so that we can quicken our video. Okay, so here you can see we have the property ID, means that the inquiry will be having the foreign key that is belonging to this table of properties. So that will be the property ID, which is constrained to that particular table. Okay, then we are going to have the name, the email, the phone number of the customer that has sent the inquiry, the message that they have sent, and also the IP address and their user agent. So these two are just the additional features that you can add, because later on you can create, let's say, a comprehensive analytics report that can show you like the user agent that your customers use, something like that. If you want to get the other more details, like you can use the IP addresses if you want. Okay, so for now we have the database correctly. So the step that you need to do is just to run the PHP @ migrate, so that we can create those two tables into our database. So you see now, if you visit the database here, you can refresh so that you can see those two tables added. So you see we have the inquiries and also we have the properties. So now the next step will be to create the filament resources for the properties and also for the inquiries. Okay, so let's start by creating the one for the properties. So let me create that. PHP @ make filament resource, and we are going to mention the model that we are going to use, which is called the properties, and we want to generate that resource by using the database field that we have. And basically the other thing that you can do is to modify the model file of properties and also the inquiry, because that is very crucial. So here I'm going to paste the following things, and you should make sure that you copy them or you update your code accordingly to what I do here. Okay, So the first thing will be the fillable property or the fillable attribute, which will be this one. So here are the fields, all of the fields that we had before. So you can see the title, description, type, listing type, status, price per square feet, other things like meta title is active, contact name, and phone. So all of that were the fields that we have. So we just put this one because of mass assignment, okay? And after that, let's also use the cast so that we can be able to control the data type of our fields, okay? So this cast will control the data type of our columns, okay? After that, now we need to automatically generate the slug when we are creating or updating our property. So we are going to use this method, which is called the boot. And on this boot method, here we're going to call this parent, and then after this property will be booted, so we are going to listen to these model events. So we are going to use this creating and updating. So when the model will be created, we are just going to get the property, and then from that property we are going to check if that is not empty. Means if the slug is empty, that's when we are going to create the slug, and that slug is coming from this particular title. So we are just getting the title that the user has put on form, and then we use that to generate the slug by using this helper method or helper function, which is called the string, and then we are going to use this method called the slug, which generates a URL friendly slug from a given string. So the title will be this one that we have passed, and the separator will be this one. But if you want to change that separator, you can just pass it here, okay? So this will be for when the user is creating the model, but when the model is being updated, so we are just going to do the same thing. So just listen for the updating, and then we are going to check if the property, the title of that particular property, if is date. So when you are checking if is date, means you're just going to check if the existing data is different to the data that is coming from the request, okay? So after checking that, if those are not the same, means the data is date, and if it's date, means the user is updating the title of the particular property. So if they are updating, means we need to regenerate the slug of our property, okay? So that will be the function that is very crucial that you should add so that we can be able to control the slug for good visibility, okay? So also now for the route binding, instead of showing the IDs of the properties, we are just going to use this method, which will be helping us to bind our model by using the slug, okay? So we're just going to bind it instead of like what I'm explaining here is like if you want to, let's say, to visit, let's say, property, let's say you want to go to edit, let's say property. So instead of passing one means to bind the ID of that particular property, so it will be like property dash then name. So you will have something like this. So this will be the slug that we are using here. So that's why we are using this method called the get route key name, and then from it we are just going to return the slug. So this slug will be the slug that we generated here, okay? So that's what I was trying to say, and if you go back here, that will be good. And okay, that's fine. Now we want to generate the scope, and this scope will be scopes for filtering. So this will be the scopes for filtering, okay? So the first scope will be to check if there is active or there is availability of particular property. So here I'm just going to say public function, then I'm going to, so this is actually the old way of defining the scope. So you just need to say scope, then you can say available, okay? So something like that. But the new way of creating this scope, you can just say available Okay, so something like that, and then pass the builder, and then the query. Okay, and then something like this. Make sure that you import this one, and this should be the database. Okay, let's see, eloquent builder. Okay, so this one, and then inside it we are just going to return something like this. And after being able to pass this where condition, so this where condition, what it does basically, it will go to check for the field called status. So it will check if that particular property is available, and after that we are just going to pass another where condition where it will check if that property is active. So if it is active, means it will be scoped as available. But here you need to pass the attribute. So start with the hash, then this one, and then you just need to say scope. Okay, so this is the attribute. So just add this one this way, and make sure you have imported the up here. So this one. Okay, so after you have imported that one, means now you can be able to create other scopes by using this particular way. Okay, so the other scope that we are going to define is the scope for the cell. So public function for cell. Okay, so for cell, and yeah, we are going to use this where condition. So we are going to use the listing type, which is for the cell. Okay, so if it will be for the cell, now let me just copy this scope and paste it here. Okay, so after that, now let's get to another one for the range. Okay, and after that, now let's create another one for the featured. So for the featured, it will be like this way. Okay, so for featured, okay, because we have this featured until, so that will be good. So let me just use that. So this will get we'll be checking if the featured until is greater than now. If it is below now, means that is not featured anymore. Okay, so that's why we are using this where condition down here. And if you don't remember, we have this field on our database defined so that it can check if that is featured until when. Okay, after that, then we are going to scope for the properties that are in certain city. Okay, so let me just say scope, and then we are going to have public function in city. Okay, and then we are going to pass the city there. But what we are going to do here, instead of searching for the exactly field, so let me just use the like, because the user can pass something that is different from what we have on database. So it will be a good way or a good thing to check for the like, because I guess that will be a good idea. So let me just use something like this. So let's use this way. Okay, yeah, so that way. So when you use this and this, so this percentages symbols, if you put it on front and don't put here, means you will be checking for the first characters if they match with the one that you are searching. But if you put here and here, means you are checking for the whole text. So you just match this text to the text that is coming from here. Okay, so that's the usability of those percentage types. So here also we are going to have another scope. So this will be for the price. Okay, So for the price between something, so we're just going to check for the minimum and maximum property. So here I guess you can be able also to type hint, so you can just say this should be a string, okay? And here let's say we are going to have a public function price between. Okay, so we are going to have the minimum and maximum, and also we are going to have the where between, and then with the price should be between those two values, the minimum and the maximum. That will be another scope. Also, we are going to have another scope which will be for the by type. So we are going to have the public function by type. Okay, so you can just type hint this one to be a string, okay, and then that will be good. And we have another scope, so this will be with bedroom. So basically we are just going to see if the property have even at least one bedroom. So we're just going to say with bedrooms, okay. So we're just going to check the number of bedrooms if they are greater than or equal to the number of bedrooms that we have passed here, okay. So this is called the local scope, but the one which accepts the parameters, okay. And then we are going to define some of the accessor method. So the accessor method means they are going to help you, let's say, to access some of the data that you want. So accessor methods, okay. And down here we are going to get the following. So I'm just going to paste some of the functions that I have already prepared for you guys. Okay, so here I'll paste. So the first one will be for get formatted price attribute. So this will be the price that you are going to get. So this will be formatted, and here you can see I'm passing the currency of Tanzania. So this you can see is Tanzania shillings, and you can see I format it to here, and you can see I don't put any decimal places. Also I get the full address attribute. So means we are going to combine the address, the city, state, and the country that the user has passed, and then you are going to get the full address attribute. Also, we are going to get the main image. So we are just going to return the images, and then from that images we are going to get the first image on that array. So just count, and if the count is greater than 0, so you just get the first image that is on the first or on the first index. Then you are going to get the image URL. So that image URL, make sure that you import this one. So the facade for storage, and up here I guess there is no any other error. Okay, so here we are going to get the main image, and then we get the URL, and that URL is the one that we are going to return here. Okay, and then after that we have other helper methods that I'm going to paste one by one. Okay, so this one will be for getting the color of the property. So if it is available, we are going to return the success color. If it's sold, it will be danger, rented will be warning, pending info, draft will be secondary, and default will be secondary. Okay, the other important thing that we are going to use is this one for the icons. So here we are going to use this one to get the type of icon that we are going to use. And if you have seen the demo part, we were using these icons to show the properties type if we don't upload any image for that particular property. So this will be the method that we are going to use to show those icon type. Okay, and after that we are going to see if there is anything that will be helpful. So the first method for helper method will be the is featured. So you can see this one will be useful to get the is featured properties, you can see. So if it's not featured, then we are going to return false, but if it is featured and the featured until is in future, means it is more than today or more than now, so means it is more than now, means this will be true, so we are going to get that property as it is featured. And the other helper method that we are going to use is this one, which is called is available. So we are just going to check if it is active, and it is marked as available. The other thing, we are going to use the following method, which is called the calculate price per square feet. So this is actually, we're just going to get the total area that is stored in our database, and we are going to check if it is greater than 0. And if it is greater than 0, means the price per square feet, you need to take the whole price that you have and divide by the total area. Okay, so that total area means will be the square feet, so that will be the price per square feet, so per 1 feet. Okay, and after that we are just going to add this following method, which will be helpful for adding the is featured. So like this one, you can see, so this is add features, so this will be the feature that you're going to add to the particular property. And as you remember, the features that we are discussing here are the features like features and amenities, like gardens, you see, so the gardens, like playgrounds, okay, yeah, something like pool, gym, and something like that. So those will be the features that we are going to use that method to add them. Also, we are going to use the following method to remove any of those features if you want. So this will be for removing it, and as you can read it, it is stored in an array. So this will arrays, you can see that's how we do it. Okay, and after that we are going to have this method that will be helpful to check if the property has those features. So if they have, it will return those features, but if it doesn't, it will return an empty array. Okay, so this the following will be the static method for common queries. Okay, so this will be for common queries. Okay, so we have the get property types, so these will be the types that we have. We'll be having this method called the get listing types, so for the sale and for the rent. Then we are going to have the last one, which will be for getting the statuses. Okay, so this one will be for returning the statuses. So the draft, you have available, pending, sold, and rented. Okay, so after that, now let's update the inquiry model. So the inquiry model will be easier, so because this does not have a lot of things. So we're just going to have the fillable property, which is our attribute for mass assignment, and then we are going to have the property ID, name, email, phone, message, IP address, and user agent. Then for the property will be belongs to the property model. So import this one. Okay, so make sure you've imported that one, and then now we should be able to continue with our application. So now let me just go back to the terminal and let's rerun this command. So let's click enter, and here we are going to pass the title, because the title will be used for global search on your on your admin panel. So here we need to have the view page for our property, and then this model will, filament resource will be generated, and then now let's generate the one for the inquiry. Okay, now generate. And on inquiry, I can just leave it that way, and I don't want to see the view, so that's good. And now let's visit the application, and now let's refresh. Yeah, and here you can see we have two new models, or migration files, the resources of Filament PHP. And here you can see we have the way to visit the properties, and if you click that one, you should be redirected to the properties listing. Okay, so here we have the fields, all that we are required, and they are generated automatically from the database. So all of the columns will be here automatically. So what I'll do, because this looks a little bit messy, so all of these fields to be shown here, it will be a bit problem. So what I'll do, I'll just show the important fields, and the other ones are hidden, will be hidden automatically here. So if user want to add, they can add from here. So what we're going to do is just to add some toggling functionality. So let's go to the property table. Okay, so here you can see we have all the fields all the way up to here. So I'm going to use this function, which is called the toggable, and it should be is toggable toggled hidden by default, and it should be true. Okay, so what we're going to do is just to hide some of the fields. So for example, this is flag, this metadata. Okay, so I'm just going to be selective here. And actually I can just leave that city. Pricing, that can be important. So let's see how it looks now. Okay, so we have price, address, city, postal code. Let me hide the postal code. Okay, and then is featured and is active. These are important. Okay, featured until now, that's important. This contact, so we can just leave the yeah, actually these are important, so let's leave it that way. Okay, so now if you visit the new property page, which will open up the form, which will be our properties form. So it will be properties form, which is this one. So it will be opened in our browser. So let's see. So this is the form. So here we have the title, we have the description, we have the type. You see, we have the listing type, which is for the sale of the rent. We have the status, which can be available, pending, sold, drafty, and rented. We have the price here. We have the price per square feet. So here I'll use the consistent currency. So I'm just going to use the Tanzanian shillings. Okay, similar way to this one. Okay, and then I'm going to have the address. So for the address, let's make it to be a text area. Okay, now refresh. Yeah, so this is the text area. We have the city, state, and country. So by default, for now, the users were supposed to fill this data. Yeah, so on this city, state, and country, if you want to have the selective, you can just implement the dependent drop downs. So you can just implement a way that when you select a country, then you will see the city, then you will see the state. So it will be going like that. But for now, we will be filling these fields manually. And then we have the postal code, the latitude and the longitude. We have the bedrooms, the number of bedrooms, the number of bathrooms, the total area. Then on the total area, so this, because it is in square feet, so here is a good idea to show that. So let me just add that by using this prefix. So in total area, I'm going to say square feet. Okay, which is this one. And here we have if this is furnished, and the parking, if there is the parking availability. Here we have the built-in, the built here. We have the parking spaces. So this will be the number of parking spaces, and this should only be visible if this one is available. So what we can do, we can just control these two. So what you can do, so let's just go here, and we are just going to use this one. So if this toggle will change, so means we are supposed to update these parking spaces to be visible or not to be visible. Okay, so here we are just going to do the following. On parking field, we are going to make it be live. Means when you change something here, so this field will be reactive or will be live. And when it will be reactive, means we are just going to update the state of these parking spaces. So here we're just going to say visible. Okay, yeah, so something like this. So you can use this way of using the callable, or you can just use the get helper method. So this one, import it, and it will be like that one. Okay, so here you can just say this should be a boolean. Okay, so this is an arrow function, and make sure that you do something like this. So means this will be hidden automatic, and it will be only visible if the parking is too good. Okay, so now if I go back here and refresh, yeah, so you can see the field of number of parking spaces has been hidden, and when I'll change this one, see the field is shown. And if I untoggle, you see the field is disappearing. Okay, so that's how easy you can just control that. And here we have the field for image. Okay, so here what we are going to do is just to update these images and make it to be able to upload an image, basically images. So we're just going to say this should be first, it should be image upload. It should be file upload. Okay, and after that, now let's make it to be able to select multiple images, and then let's say maximum number of files we can make it to be 10, and then we are going to store them in properties, then images. So this will be the directory where we are going to store our images, but basically this will be so long, so let me just make it like this way. Properties, images. So this will be the name of the directory where we store our images. And now okay, I guess now this is fine. and also you need to identify the disk where you're going to store the images. So currently I'll store them inside the public directory. Okay, so after that, now let's deal with the how we are going to create the slug. Okay, so how we are going to create slug, as I've mentioned, this will be created automatically by our model. If you remember from the model property here, we had that function that will be able to create this slug. Okay, so what you can do is just to make sure that this slug is not required here, so that when the user will not fill it, so automatically from the model it will be populated automatic. So here what you will do is just not to make it to be required, and what you can add here is just to say this should be a read-only field. Okay, it should be a read-only field. Yeah, so it will be like this one. And for the images, now you will be able to select images. So on features, let's update it a little. So on features here, we are just going to use the tags input, okay, and after that we are just going to have a helper method here, helper text, okay, like that one, which I guess will be very helpful. So now if you go back here and refresh, yeah, so now you see we have this field where we can add features like, let's say, garden. And when you put something like this one, and let's say gym, let's say pool, okay, so you see that will be one. So what you're supposed to do is like gym, and then you need to click outside like this one. See, so that will be a tag. Okay, so just say gym, and then click outside, you see, so that will be the first tag. So you can say pool. Yeah, so that's how easy you can just do that. Okay, so after that, now here we have the is featured, and we have this featured until. So I want to control this one the way we used this for packing. So what I'll do, I'll just do the same thing like this one. So is featured, this one should be 5, and then for the featured until, this one, so we're just going to make it to depend on this one. Okay, so it will get the state from this one. So if I refresh, yeah, so here you can see is featured, and the featured until is not visible. So if I toggle that, now we should be able to see that field here. Okay, so this one, now you can be able to select the time, I mean the date and time. Okay, and then you can see the contacts here and everything that you need. So what I can do now is just to show you how you can let's say just organize this form by using the layout. So I'm just going to use the grids and show you how to group these fields so that we can be able to show it in a very systematic way. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just to update our form a little bit. So here I'm going to use a section. So this will be coming from the basically from schema, and then we are going to have make here, and then we are going to say basic information, and you make sure that you close it. Okay, and then after that, inside it, we are just going to have the title, and we are going to have the slug, which is this one, and then for the description, let's leave it outside. And here, what we are going to add is to use the grid inside our schema. So let's make it to use to call span, and then let me just close it down here. Okay, and these two should be inside this grid, and then this description should be here. Okay, because I want this one to take up all the two span, okay, so, which is call spans. And now let me add another grid down here. So we are going to have another grid, and this should have 3 columns, and inside those 3 columns we're going to have the type of properties, and basically, if you remember, we defined this method called the get, which is called the actually get property type, which is this one. So what we are going to do, we are going to update this column, which is this one. So instead of having these options here, so what you are going to do is to make it like this way, and then you are going to say property, which is our model, and then you are going to call the get property types, okay, that way. So make sure you import this model, okay, so that will be fine. And now we are just going to have this listing type, which already we have defined here. So all of these 3 will be inside here. So this is how useful these helper methods can be, because when you define it from the from the model level, means it will be easier for you to show them. So it will help you to keep your form a little bit clean, so you can see from here. But the other way around, you can just store them in another table and have the relationship, and that's way you can be easier for you to manage the way the forms looks. So now you can see the form is a little bit clean, so that's why I enforced that one. Okay, similar way here, we are going to say property get listing type, you see, so that will be the listing types. And then we are going to have the similar way on statuses, okay, because we defined that for statuses. Yeah, so you see, so this will be for statuses and this will be for listing types, okay. And after that now let's add another section. So this section will be complete, so this will be the section for basic informations. So if you go back here and refresh, Yeah, so you see, so this is the this will be the section. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to make it this full section to be to use the full column width. So the column width, so here I'm just going to say column span, then full, and then if I go back and refresh, now it should take up to here. See, so here you can see these are the basic informations. So we have the title and the slug, and then we have the description, and here you can see we have these two these three, but also I'm going to make them all of these to use the full column. So they are going to use the full column span. So let me just copy this one and update this grid similar way to this one. Okay, now if I go back into refresh, yeah, so now it looks good. So you see here, this one takes 2, this one takes full, and this one takes 3. So here you can see the types, you can see the listing type, and you have the statuses. Okay, so that's cool. Now let's go to the second section where we are going to define the pricing. Okay, now let me just add the schema. So that way, and then we are going to have the grid of 2, and then inside that grid we are going to define the price and the price per square feet. That's how I wanted it to do. Now let's close it. Okay, that way. Let me close that, and now if I go back and refresh, now we should be able to see the pricing in the separate section, as you can see. So the pricing, you can see set the pricing details for the property, and here the user can be able to define the pricing. So this is actually explained well here in schemas, and you can see the layout. So when you visit this Filament PHP documentation and you see this grid, so this is the way that you are supposed to use it. Okay, but the alternative to that, you can use the flex. So I'll just stick to grid because I guess this gives me what I want. And let me remove these fields because already we have them on our section. So let me remove them here. Okay, and now let's create another section which will be for the location. Then location. Okay, so inside it we are going to have the following. So we are going to have that grid, and then we are going to pass the country, state, city, and the postal code, and also for the latitude and the longitude, which I guess those we can put them inside another grid. So just say something like this, and we can define another grid. So we are going to have the longitude and the latitude. Okay, that way. But also we have the address field, which I don't want to put inside here. So let me just put it here. So let's say text the input, then the address. Okay, but let's make it to take full column span. So column span, it should be full. And now let's see what it will be. So let's remove these fields from here up to here. Okay, after removing them, now let's refresh. Yeah, so now it looks good. So here you can pass the address. Basically, you can just say, you can make it to be a text area if you feel you need a little more space for that. So you can make it to be text area. Okay, area, and if you refresh, now it should be the text area, and then you can be able to add these other fields. Okay, yeah, so now it looks good. And now the other thing, for this state and the country, what you can do, you can just make them to have 3 columns basically. So let me refresh. Yeah, so you see you have the city, country, state, and city, and then you have the postal code down here, and you have the 2 for the latitude and the longitude. So now the location section is good. Now let's go to the next section, which will be the property details, where we'll define those details that remains. So we are going to have details. Okay, so on this section, we're just going to have grid, the grid of 4. So let's define the schema. And here we are going to pass the fields for the bedroom up to built year. Okay, so let me paste them here. And then after that, let's close that grid, and let's make another grid for 2 columns. Okay, so down here we are going to pass the furnished and the parking. So these two goes. So furnished and this one. So let me paste them here. Okay, and then after that, let's have the text input for parking spaces and features. That will not be inside this grid, will be outside here, like that one. Okay, and then after that, that section will be done because it has started from here, and you have this section, and that section will end here. Okay, so now if I go back in the refresh, yeah, so now we have the bedrooms, bathrooms, square area, the total area in square feet. We have the built year, and we have the furnished. So now if I toggle this one, yeah, so I have these parking spaces, you see, yeah, okay, so the parking spaces, basically what we can do is just to make them to be inside another grid so that they can look a little bit good. So we can say they should be 2 columns. Okay, and let's close that one here, and I want to make this one be the last one here so that it can be below the parking. Now let's see. Okay, and now this should not be full column span. Let me keep it this way, and then I'll refresh. Yeah, so if I toggle that, now the field is showing here. Okay, so you can see that's how good it is. Yeah, so now let's finish up with the other section for images. So let's create that section. So it will be for media and the search engine optimization. So let's create that. So here we are going to have actually the image, which is this file upload, which I'll just make it here. And basically this is how you find area tutorials that show you how to create this complex form builder, because you can see, so this is actually a way that you are going to create a very complex form layout by using the grid. So Filament gives you this functionality out of the box, so you will not touch a single CSS code. So everything you can do them by using these layouts. So you can just use any layout that you want, because from here you can see we have a variety of layout. We have the grid, flex, field set, section, and everything that you want. Okay, so that's how cool Filament is. So now let's finish up here. So we were here on the images, so that's cool. Now let's add another grid. So down here let's add the grid of 2, and let's put the following. Actually now then this is featured, is active, and those fields. And we are going to have another section for the contact. So for now we can just close this one. Okay, and then let's remove them from here. So featured until here, let's remove them. Then let's add another section. Okay, and that section will end up to here. Okay, so here you can just say columns, let's say 2. Yeah, and now let's try to refresh. Yeah, so we have the media, which you upload the image, and you have the meta and also the meta description. We have the is featured and is active. So when you click this one, you should be able to see the field for featured until, and we have the is active and something like that. So here on is active, I want to make the default to be active. So default to be active, like this way. Yeah, so that it will be checked automatically. Okay, so now that's cool. Yeah, so I guess now everything looks as we expected. So this is a read-only field, and now we can be able to test our form. So now let's try to use the form filler to add details, just effect details. So that will be the name, the description. So here let's say it will be a townhouse, will be for renting. You can make it to be available, so the price, and then the price per square meter. You can just pass, let's say it will be this one, and then this will be, let's say, yeah. Okay, now we have the city, state, country, postal code, let's say 1441. Okay, the latitude and longitude, you can define them. The bathrooms, let's say 4 bedrooms, then bathrooms 3, total area square feet, let's say that one. So furnished, you can say yes, and then for parking is available, and the number of parking spaces, let's say 3. Okay, so for the image, you can just basically the first thing you need to run the following command: php @, then storage link. So here you can see we have created the public, so we have created a symlink. So now let's clear that, and if you upload an image from here, so let's upload it, let's say this image, which will be my sample image. Yeah, so you can see now it is complete. So upload it complete, and remember we were able to upload more than 1 images. So now this let's just upload that one first, and now not to make it to be featured, so let me just put something like this. And now if I click create, okay, now let's see how it will respond. Yeah, so you can see now this looks a little bit good. You can see we have been redirected to the view page of this application, and you can see here we have this slug of our application, or I mean of our property, which you can see that is the name, and it has been used to create the slug. Okay, so that's what I was trying to explain to you here. So by using this slug method, which we have created here, and then we are going to use it to bind on our route. Okay, so that's how easy you can just do that. Okay, and here we have this pricing, which has been changed to $, because we didn't update the info list. So property info list, which is this one, so we need to make sure that it is similar way to what we have from the form. For the pricing, so let's use this one. Yeah, basically you can just pass here the price, and also this one. Okay, now let's refresh. Yeah, so you can see it is in Tanzanian shillings, similar way to this one. Okay, so for the image, now let's add the so here on images, let's use the image entry. So image entry. Now we should be able to see the image on our browser, and now refresh, because now it was just showing you the URL. So now refresh. Yeah, so now you can see we see the image that we have uploaded. You can see that it's featured and it's active, and you can see the contact. You can see that for the features, let's see the features, where is it? Okay, yeah, features, you can see the features here. Okay, so let's just say features, and let's make it to be tags. So let's see if we have the tag entry. I guess that is not available. Yeah, that is not available. Yeah, we don't have something for the tags, so let's just leave it that way. But what you can do, you can just make them to be badges. Okay, yeah, something like this. But also you can edit this property, you see. So this is a property, so you can just update it. Basically, you can upload another image. Let's say you want to upload another image for it, you can just upload it like this way. So you can see this is how they will be added. But you can change that if you want to, let's say to reorder them. So you can say the layout, let's say you can just change the layout on how they look on form. So you can just have to update that form here. So you can say panel layout and to be grid. Okay, so the layout of these images to be in grid, so it means they will be in tiles. So now that's good, and if you save, okay, now the effect has not been changed, so let's refresh and see. Yeah, see, so now they will be in tiles, you see. So the first one, the second one, and if you upload here another one, will be here, and they will be in this way until when you are finished to upload all the images, and that will be good. So now we have a way to add the properties. So now the next step will be to create our front-end website, which will be a real estate website. So let me welcome you again, or to subscribe to my channel. For those who are new, consider to subscribe, comment if you find anything that is not working, or if you want to say anything, just drop your comment. And also like the video, share with your friends, and share my channel, so that is the way that you are supporting me. So see you on the next session, where we'll be building the front-end website from scratch.